You know, when I was young, like back in my simp days, back in my middle school days, high school days, I used to think that I was the hopeless romantic type of guy. You know, just the guy that fell in love real easily. Just very idealistic about love, the idea of that one special person, that one special girl. You know, you had rose tinted glasses on, etc. Like if there was a girl that I had a thing for, a girl that I was dating, then I would be completely committed to her. Like she would be the only girl that I saw. I would be 14 years old thinking she's the one, and obviously in retrospect that's dumb, right? But it's funny because now most girls say the exact opposite about me, that I'm not romantic at all, that I'm extremely cold or distant or emotionally unavailable. And actually, now that I think about it, even for my last relationship, I never got flowers for my girlfriend, not even on Valentine's Day, just because I thought they were pointless, like they're gonna die in a few days. Like, wouldn't you just much rather I get you dinner instead? I started getting a little too logical, and sometimes you should cater towards her needs. And I don't know when it was exactly, but at some point I went from the hopeless romantic to not being romantic at all whatsoever. And actually, I had my very first girlfriend when I was 15 years old. And I met her because we worked together in the summer, and even though we only spent 6 weeks together, I felt like I fell in love with her. But in reality, it was really that proximity of being together in a fun environment that made me put on those rose-tinted glasses. And we were also working with kids as well, so that also kind of affected my perception of her. And I remember I saw her every day and I was like, damn, she's so good with kids. She would be a great mother someday. And actually, she is a great mother. But the point is, I fell in love real fast, within the course of 6 weeks. And the most dangerous thing about being the guy that falls in love easily is that you ignore all the red flags. And all your logic goes out the door. But just red flags in terms of like compatibility. You know, you kind of just ignore everything and become blind to all the negatives. And you can't think beyond the current moment because you're wrapped up in the way you feel. And this usually happens the more attractive she is. The more attractive she is, the more delusional we become as guys. Like bro, that's why before you fall in love, before you tell yourself that you're in love with a girl, you gotta make sure you're good within yourself. Because if not, you're then entering the relationship from a scarcity point of view, with a scarcity mindset. And this is never good for the guy if you feel like you're always walking on eggshells and you're just afraid to lose her all the time. Because she eventually will lose respect or lose attraction for you just based off your energy and the way you move. And actually, fun fact, guys on average actually say I love you first as opposed to women. Which is actually kind of interesting when you think about it, because you would think that it's the opposite. You know, just because women are more emotional and guys are supposed to be more logical. And I think there's 2 reasons for this. Number 1 is obviously love bombing. The word love might not mean as much to some guys as it would for some girls, which is why women are a lot more careful when using the word love, especially saying it for the first time. But for guys, it's kind of a way to leverage sex. And it's not even necessarily the case where they don't mean it or they're trying to be manipulative. It's just that guys mix up the feelings of lust and feelings of love in their head. Like we often conflate the two. It's like you guys are having sex and it's good, and halfway through you're just like, damn, I love you so much. And then you catch yourself after when the post-nut clarity hits and you're like, why'd I say that? Like generally speaking, I'll say the word love holds more weight for girls than it does for guys. Which is why guys are the ones that are quick to drop the love bomb and girls are a lot more careful with saying it. And the second reason is that, and I'm willing to bet that this is the case for most guys out there, for guys who say I love you first. What you gotta understand is that a lot of guys are not used to getting affection or attention from a girl or any ounce of reciprocation, especially when it comes to a girl that they like. So then every little interaction becomes that much more significant to you if that interaction is rare. Whether it's sex, whether it's making out, whether it's just a kiss or even holding hands, right? The more scarce the interaction, the more it means to you, which is essentially why simps get attached to a girl so quickly. For example, right, I told the story a few times, but the time I had feelings for my girl best friend and how I was down bad for her. The week before I was gonna let her know how I felt on New Year's Eve, right? Which I never did. By the way, this was like in high school when I was 14. But there was one nail in the coffin moment which convinced me that I was in love with her, even though I wasn't. And bro, I'll never forget this moment. It was during Christmas Eve and it was like 6 or 7 p.m. on a Friday. I just finished playing basketball at the park with some friends. It was getting cold, it was getting dark, and I was walking back home, right? And then all of a sudden, I get a text from her. And I forgot what she texted me initially, but she told me that she made me cookies for Christmas. And she wanted me to come over and pick them up. And bro, when I tell you, I genuinely believed in my heart of hearts at the time, these were the best cookies that I had in my entire life. And I don't even like sweets like that. I don't even remember how they tasted, but I do remember how it made me feel. Cause imagine, right, your girl best friend who you've been in the friend zone with or whatever. She had a boyfriend the past year, they just broke up, things between you and her are going good. This is a girl that you've liked for 2 years and it's winter break, the vibes are good. She texts you on Christmas Eve telling you she made you cookies. And that was the biggest W you've taken in the past 2 years after being cucked in the friend zone. Something that no girl has done for you before. the girl that you like, and doing something that I don't want to say breaks the boundary of friendship, because I guess if you're a girl you can beg for a guy in a platonic way depending on the context, but basically it meant a lot to me at the time. And when I finally got home and ate those cookies, I was like, I love her. I swear on everything, I love her. I see no other girls right now. Like, you all might as well be dudes wearing wigs. And you start getting delusional as well. You're like, bro, I would die for her. I would die for her. Straight up. And then you fall in love fast and you become way too in deep. Way past whatever her level of emotional investment is. And what's dangerous about this, right, is that it can convince you that you're in love with a girl that you really don't. You know, you start making everything out of every little interaction. You start playing fantasies in your head and you start making up narratives. Like, guys that fall in love fast, they get attached real quick because, contrary to popular belief, guys are actually very passionate lovers. Especially when you're into a girl and that girl shows you interest. Like, bro, you will move mountains, you will travel across the world, you'll fight Godzilla. Like, you're willing to do anything. And that's how I felt, right? And going back to my point earlier, if you're not good within yourself, if you're not good in life, you will be more susceptible to this. Of just falling in love real fast, getting attached to the first girl that gives you a bit of attention. Oftentimes when a guy doesn't have purpose, you inevitably start chasing a girl. Or simping over some girl, especially if you're lonely. Because chasing women for guys, it's a separate conquest than chasing work or career or goals or any of that. It's your biological imperative to reproduce. So by chasing a girl, right, you're also chasing that inner desire to reproduce. Like, in the back of your head, it gives you another challenge or it gives you another conquest. It gives you a purpose when you don't have one. Because men will always be the ones pursuing women. We will always be the hunters. And the hunt is fun, right? The chase is fun. That's how a lot of guys end up simping for a girl. When you have no purpose, you just naturally start chasing girls, chasing women, chasing sex. You tend to fall in love fast because you're missing something in your life. And you think that love will fulfill whatever it is that you're missing. Or you could also be really lonely. You seek companionship. So then you get attached real fast for the first person that reciprocates your energy. You know, maybe you got low self-esteem or low self-worth. Or maybe you're just horny, right? You conflate those feelings of lust and feelings of love. You might convince yourself that you're in love with a girl that, I don't know, gives good head, right? And also, you are way more susceptible to falling in love fast the younger you are. Like, I'm not gonna lie, there is something nostalgic or reminiscent about that delusional young love and falling in love easily. Because when you're young, right, that love, that explosive, quick, passionate love, is 100% predicated on how that person makes you feel versus what you can provide or the value that you bring. Which is why the feelings of infatuation when you're young is so strong and you can't get them out your head. You know, when you're in school, when you're a teenager, you guys are passing notes in class. You guys are walking to class together, saying I love you. Everything is based on how you feel. Love isn't a choice when you're young, it's a feeling. When you're a lot older, right, you choose to love based on the value the other person brings to your life. Like, it becomes a lot more logic based. You know, as funny or charming as you might be, if you're a bum, she's not gonna choose to love you. As attractive as she might be, if she's 40 and you want kids, then you're not gonna choose her. But it no longer becomes purely based on how you feel as you get older. You don't fall in love as easily. And again, even though there is something nostalgic or reminiscent about that young love, about falling in love easily, that passionate love, it's a lot better for love to be a choice. Which is what it actually is. Like, be slow to fall in love, keep your feelings in check, take things slow, reflect on why you feel a certain way instead of just wanting to act on them. And this is a part of stoicism that you should apply as it pertains to relationships. Because you'll save yourself a lot of time and energy and putting yourself in bad situations. Like, don't fall in love with her potential, rather try to observe her pattern over a long period of time. Like, it's easy to fall in love fast when you get wrapped up in the idea of who that person can be as opposed to who that person actually is. Because you're caught in those feelings of infatuation that oftentimes you mistake as love. Anyways, thank you for listening. I love you. I appreciate you. With that said, make sure you stay true, and I'll talk to you guys real soon. Peace.